Okay, Arielle, this is so exciting to be with you.
Yes.
So I'm thinking the first time we actually met was probably at mine and Cindy's house.
I agree.
You came over for our senior group,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
What year were you a senior?
I was a senior 2010 to 2012. I would say 2010 to 2011, I went to Stonegate.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until senior year 2012
right.
that I went to
Our group.
Yeah, your
It was
group.
at our house.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
We had a
so cool.
huge group
Yeah.
all in your
All
living
in our
room,
living room.
and then we broke apart the guys and the girls.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
cool. You were a tumbler gymnast back then?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so here's the question I want to start with, because
Okay.
everybody's expecting they're going to read, in the show notes, we're, interviewing Miss Olympia worldwide, CrossFit champion. And I'm afraid people are going to go, oh, I don't know if I can identify with that because,
Right.
right. So what I want to know is, you didn't win, then all of a sudden you have a child and then you keep competing.
Right.
And many people don't just give themselves a chance because I don't think they make a decision to believe in themselves.
Right.
How did you make a decision to believe in yourself? Because, you can say get motivated, but you still have to have a reason to get motivated. You still have to get up every morning and go, no, I think I should do this. I think I can do this. What was the moment? When was the season when you said, no, I actually believe in myself and my abilities?
I'll recap if that's all right.
Yeah, totally.
I thought I was going to be a college cheerleader. Didn't work out. So
Okay.
I went to college, got my MBA, and after I got my MBA, my thought was I'm going to be a business professional.
Okay.
And then next thing I found out, I'm pregnant. No going to work for me. I'm going to stay home with the family, and I'm just going to be the best wife and mother I can be. So 2021 rolls around. I had my daughter in 2019.
Okay.
So for 2 years, I'm just working on what do I want my family to look like? What do I want health to look like for my daughter, for my husband, and just building a family unit. And all at that time, it's going to the daily CrossFit class because that's what I enjoy. Eating healthy because I want Blakelee to eat healthy. I want my family to eat healthy. So just naturally, everything fell into place.
Yeah.
And 2021 was the year I broke out as a CrossFit Games athlete and my whole world changed. But 2021 in January started with something I'd never done before, which was called 48 MOPS, 48 minutes of prayer, which is intimidating. And even we started a Bible study with my husband and my sister and brother-in-law.
So MOPS, mothers of preschoolers.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, let's...
MOPS, no.
So it was a challenge from MOPS
Yeah.
to do 48 minutes of
48
prayer.
minutes of prayer.
Where did the 48 come from?
You know what? It was my brother-in-law, John Poe. And he just said, I've done this before. It's life-changing. Let's do this start of January, see what the Lord wants to tell us.
Okay.
So we started it for 24 minutes because we were really overwhelmed by 48 minutes of prayer.
Okay. And you're saying your husband and you start this.
My husband, me, John Poe,
Okay.
and Bethany, my sister.
Okay.
Four
You're not
people.
doing this together. You're
We
just
are
doing it
doing
on
this
your
together.
own. Okay. You're doing it together.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we
all right.
start the clock, 48 minutes of silence. We have our Bible open, and we have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Whatever the Lord wants to tell you, write
Totally.
it down. So in those 48 minutes, God spoke to me like he never had before, and he said, seek, and you'll be fulfilled greater than your richest feast. So seek first the kingdom of God, like in Matthew. Seek first, and you'll be fulfilled greater than your richest feast, coming from Psalms. So January started with, what am I seeking? Okay, I'm going to seek the Lord. So daily, I put the Lord first, and I showed up to the CrossFit class, felt great. My family was great, and I had this close relationship like I'd never experienced before.
Yeah.
I went to Stonegate. I was in your Bible study, but it was never like, I'm going to seek for myself.
Right.
It was like, this person told me to seek. I guess I'll seek.
Yeah.
So it started January. I sought of 21. And then come June, I qualified for my first ever CrossFit Games. But it was in the daily seeking. And then qualifying was just like, oh, this is great. I would love to go to the games. Yes, I'll go. And then CrossFit took off.
So you're not establishing a goal of, I'm going to be CrossFit matron of Midland, Texas.
Exactly.
You're actually seek the Lord, pursue passion, see what happens.
Exactly. So I went into the competition to qualify for the games.
Yeah.
And me and my husband were like, man, this is fun. I'm glad we're here again. Can't wait to get home and we'll go back to our normal life. Never once did we think, you're about to keep training, go to the CrossFit Games and kind of make a name for yourself.
Okay, let me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
How did CrossFit become something that you were passionate about? And I hate the word passionate, but
Right.
I'm just going to use it. So how did that become? Was it just because of what it did for you with your physical fitness? You enjoyed it? What was the motivation behind that?
I got out of high school, and after high school, I liked being told what to do. I was used to running track, being a cheerleader. Hey, this is the workout for today. So after high school.
You like being coached.
I like being coached.
Okay.
That's a great way to think.
Yeah.
Great way to put it. I like being coached. So CrossFit is very much you show up, they have a workout for you, they coach you, they tell you what to do, you leave after an hour. So I found CrossFit after high school, and I've been doing it ever since 2012.
Okay.
And just after I had Blakelee, it was, I feel a little bit overweight, everything's squishy. Let's just get back in the gym, focus on health, and just feel confident in shorts and a t-shirt again.
Yeah.
And that was the goal.
When did you know you were good at this?
The competition I went to and I won it, and then I was
I mean, did you go in thinking, I think I can take this?
Oh, absolutely not.
Really?
No way.
Really?
I went in very much feeling like the underdog. The people at the top had videographers with them, camera crew were getting interviewed left and right. And so I very much look around and there's cameras everywhere, but they're focused on the big names.
Yeah.
I'm a mom who is just here for fun.
Right.
They've never heard my name before, Arielle Loewen. So I'm just in the background hanging out, observing all this because it's very overwhelming.
You were lurking in the background.
I was lurking. And then wouldn't you know, Sunday rolls around and I don't just qualify, I end up getting first. And they're like, where did this girl come from?
It was a 3-day competition?
It was a 3-day competition.
When in the competition did you realize, watch out, here I come?
When I won.
Oh, come on. There had to be some time in day 2 where you're like, I'm competing here.
This sounds bad. It sounded too good to be true. So I was like, I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to believe this lie that I'm amazing, I can do this, until it happens.
Okay.
Because I've been let down before. I tried to make it to the games 5 years in a row before I got pregnant unexpectedly, and I fell short every single year.
Why'd you fall short?
I don't think I was ready. I seriously think if I would have qualified for the games then, it would have been, I'm Arielle and I'm amazing. Look at what I did. Look at what I did. Whereas now it's like, I wasn't even trying and God's blessed me with this platform. From this platform, I've able to do this, this, and this, and this, and just share the gospel in an organic, coming from the heart out.
Right. What have been some of the biggest blessings or open doors that have come since this win?
I spoke at Fields of Faith.
Yeah.
Back in Abilene, Texas, just October 18th. Never spoke in front of that large of an audience, and complete peace. Said everything I needed to, and just the response, the numbers of kids reaching out to me after, coming down. Like you talk about planting seeds. I just planted seeds to 5,000 people.
Yeah.
Never would I have thought to do that or thought I would have had the power to stand up there and speak.
What's it been like to be on the map now, so to speak?
It's very interesting. I'm on the CrossFit map, but in Midland is its own bubble.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll walk around the grocery store and get out of my way. Like, I need the sweet tea. And it's very humbling.
So my world's just the opposite.
Your world is the exact
Total opposite. Like in Midland, there's no moment of privacy.
We're so opposite.
If I leave Midland, nobody has a clue who I am.
That's hilarious.
And they're treating me like they treat you here. It's so totally opposite.
It's very opposite. So I was just at a competition 2 weeks ago. I mean, we're eating dinner, and Arielle, can I get a picture with you? We're walking around the venue, and it's autograph. And then I come back to Midland, and it's nothing. Which is so opposite, but very humbling to know, like, that's its own alternate reality.
Right.
This is what's important, your family, taking care of your daughter.
How aware has it made you of, and I'm not saying this because it's on the screen, that you don't have a neutral moment because some young girl might be watching, some young boy might be watching, some adults watching to go, how does someone with that success act?
Right.
Has that been different?
It's been different. Competition mode. I've had a lot of not so neutral moments backstage is where all of the gospel spreading happens. On the floor, it's just a blessing, and I very much own that. But backstage this past year when I was competing at the CrossFit Games, 5 different instances where praying with someone, blessing someone, seeing the Lord work, and that's all backstage.
Yeah.
So if I go into the CrossFit Games competition, let's see how good I can do. Let's see how good I can place. And it's all on me. I would have missed every one of those opportunities.
So the excellence of what he's gifted you with in your physical talent is really the door to the ministry he's designed you for.
Right.
How many people do you think miss that in their everyday careers? Like somebody who's the best engineer in the world or the best geologist or the best pharmacist who thinks, well, this is just my professional career, rather than, no, this is actually your professional calling
Right.
to be exercised among the crowd he's going to put in front of you. But you also have earned the stage of what I would say doing things the Daniel way, which is with excellence. Would you say that's a fair assessment? I mean, you're not just slouching around. You got to be good.
Right.
To earn the opportunity to even speak the message.
And I've talked about this quite a bit with my husband, is I love my platform.
Mm-hmm.
Who wouldn't want to be a successful CrossFitter and a professional athlete? But my platform is what I'm using to spread the gospel.
Right.
But everyone's platform is just as important. It just might not look as
totally
well known.
Right.
And that's what I keep telling everybody is like, yes, it seems easy for me, but even if you impact one person, like my husband does garage doors, you impact one person doing garage doors, it's just as important.
Yeah, well, 2 Peter chapter 1. I was actually reading it this morning, ironically. It says,
Ironically.
You don't like that word?
Anything to do with scripture is not ironic.
Well, yeah, the irony of it being today.
Oh, okay.
So it says, add to your faith virtue. And if you translate that out of some of the original languages, it actually means the word excellence. And so the Apostle Peter says, okay, it's great that you believe, but now be excellent. And then it actually says to add knowledge, so continue to grow in that excellence. And then it says add humility. So when you think of this idea that if we don't do things with excellence, then we might be forfeiting the very stage that the Lord is putting in front of us in order to share the gospel. And I used to say about preachers, I went to a class one time at a seminary, and I said, the problem with some of you in this room is nobody's going to really respect what you say because you look like a pear. And they're going to say, you mean you're the temple of the Holy Spirit and you're shaped like a pear? Why should I even listen to one thing you say?
Right.
And so you have to, that's a little bit crass and harsh, but it's just true.
It is true.
And so if you don't do things with excellence, and this is the hard part, I think, if your excellence doesn't draw attention, then you don't get a chance to speak the message.
Do anything with it, right.
But how many people can handle the attention, which might be what you just said a minute ago about yourself.
Right.
Prior to a child and a change and 48 minutes of prayer, you wouldn't have been ready for the stage.
Oh, absolutely not. And it would have been different on stage versus off stage. I wouldn't have the opportunities I have now, which to me is just like spreading all the seeds.
Yeah. So are you going to write a book?
Oh, a lot of people, this is what's mind-blowing. A lot of people in CrossFit will have books, but they're ghostwritten.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, I would probably be the first one to actually write one. But for me, speaking to 5,000 people is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm good for a month to like sit back and be like, okay, Lord, what do you want me to do next?
What are the things the Lord's teaching you? Like, go a little bit deeper into where your soul is. In this whole journey, what are some of the things he's teaching you?
The biggest thing this past month is the word enough. So even if this past year I got third place at the CrossFit Games, like, it's enough.
Yeah.
You are meeting with one person a week, that's enough. I think the trap is I always feel like I need to do more. Should I work out more? Should I train harder? Should I speak to more people? Should I do this? And right now, time is my biggest restraint. I want to give time to my family, time to my fitness, time to myself, So it's enough. Wow. If working out once a day is enough, it's enough.
Yeah.
If speaking to 5,000 people,
it's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Yeah, that's enough. Like, don't feel like you always have to prove yourself or do more. But sitting back and resting is one of the hardest things for me personally.
To be at peace in the rest and not be anxious in the rest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to know, like, this is enough.
How many days a week are you working out?
6 days a week.
6 days a week. Okay. Is that a seventh day because of rest? Is that conviction? Is that part of your faith walk? Or is that just, I don't need to work out 7 days a week? Or both?
All of it, I would say. We go to church on Sunday, so I don't want to wake up and be focusing on training.
Right.
I will say Thursdays I do take it easy, so it won't be heavy weightlifting. It'll just be like moving on a bike or going for a walk. But Sunday is just, we go to church, we go to lunch, we hang out with the family, we go see a movie if we want to, and it's just away from the gym.
Just away from it. What has been the biggest change to your schedule with, I'm sure you have people who are endorsing you now and you're having to deal with that. How do you put up with that? How do you deal with that?
I have an agent who handles all that for me, which is crazy. And I have someone that works for me to say that. But I let him do what he does best. And I handle my part of it, which is posting on social media, wearing the right brands when I need to. Very superficial, but I'm very blessed that that's what pays the bills.
That's really not superficial. I would push back on that.
You would?
It's a part of the job.
It is
It's a part of the calling. I mean, it's a part of the stage.
Right.
So you have to do it all with excellence because it all earns the opportunity to share the gospel.
Very true.
Right? I mean, it's not superficial.
It's just unconventional. That's a good way to put it.
Okay. I get that.
Yeah.
And then something you didn't expect, something you didn't think you were going to have to do. Like your posting matters.
Yes.
I mean, so it's part of your career.
Right. It matters, but it's hard because to me, social media is the biggest trap in mental health, in sports, thinking that you need to do more. So it's like, this is my business, but also I have to say, like, I posted, now it's enough. Put it down.
Enough. That's a great way to go back to that. Have you checked yourself on your phone where it tells you how much time you're spending?
It's
I hate that.
It's horrible.
It's horrible.
It's very eye-opening. So what is yours?
What is mine? How much time I spend?
Yes, I'm very curious.
Actually, my wife and I were joking about this because I was winning the battle.
Being on less?
Being on less.
Okay. You never know. It could be being on more. That could be the prize.
Well, and I have a feeling, when this podcast starts going live, we start the YouTube channel. You and I are recording today in 3 days. So we start launch.
Congratulations.
Well, we'll see, Here's the problem. My productivity on my phone doesn't register my productivity at all because I spent the first 5 hours of today writing. So I'm not on my phone.
Right.
And then I'm having to catch up with other stuff. So
mine will do the same thing, or I'll play music while I'm working out, but
that's not saying you're working out.
Exactly.
Let me ask you this question. Let's get superficial, sort of.
Okay.
Let's talk about the events in CrossFit.
Okay.
What is the one that is your favorite, and what's your least favorite?
Least favorite, really easy for me. This past weekend at a competition, max deadlift. Okay. How much can you just pick up from the floor? You get X amount of attempts.
Are you legs together or legs apart?
We have to go legs together, hands outside. You have to go hands outside. We do have to. So
switch grip or
whatever you prefer.
Yep.
So I'm strong I feel like I'm strong, but relative to the field, I deadlifted 345, which to me is great. That's a personal best. The girl who won deadlifted 425. So just relative to the field, I know strength is not my strength. That strength, yes. Yeah. And then I really enjoy...
Deadlift is just brutal.
It is brutal.
I powerlifted in college, and so I know it's hard to believe when you look at this frame.
How do you deadlift?
Legs apart.
Okay, hands in the middle, or do you reverse grip?
Oh, I do. You have to do that in competition and powerlifting, but I have my legs apart.
Did you compete in powerlifting?
I did.
You did? Okay, what did you deadlift?
I don't even remember.
Okay, you don't have it hung up on the wall?
My best bench was... really, I don't even remember my best lift. I just remember my best bench was for reps at 315.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I weighed 165.
That's impressive.
It was fun times, man.
Yeah. Pull out the video.
There wasn't such a thing. There was no videos.
I know.
See, this was way back, so there's no videos. There's nothing to see. There's nothing to post.
So at one time you repped 315 for bench, weighing 165. That's impressive.
Yeah, and so we had a good time, and my wife probably still has the driver's license of those days, but I had hair down to almost the middle of my back. Wow. And I was wearing a tank top in my picture, like you're wearing a tank top today.
And with the long hair.
And it was, she was like, what in the world? And I think the worst thing she said to me one day was, she goes, your neck's not as big as it used to be. Like, thanks a lot.
How old were you at this time?
19.
And you were already married?
No, but I had the license when we first started dating. And I had just come out of that.
How funny.
So it was a lot of fun. But okay, what's your favorite?
Okay.
Your favorite?
Favorite is anything gymnastics based.
I'll bet.
So we do handstand walking. We do what's called ring muscle ups, handstand push-ups.
Yep.
Just things that take a little bit more skill.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let me read through this.
Go ahead.
Third place finish at 2023 CrossFit Games, but the only American to podium.
Yeah. So first place. No.
Or just in this
Americans
one?
have podium before.
Okay.
Yeah. First place was from Hungary. Her name was Laura Horvath. Second place from Canada. And then I was third place from America.
Wow.
Then on the guys' side, it was Canada, and then their flag wasn't able to be flown.
Oh, wow.
But
okay.
from overseas.
I got you. And who gave you the moniker fittest mom in the world?
technically won it this year because of all the
Okay.
moms who competed in CrossFit.
That
I was
gets
the
to be
fittest.
yours.
But that title is very hard for me, fittest mom in the world, because moms already have so much pressure, so much expectation, unnecessary burdens. I don't like throwing that one around because I'm like, you don't need to compare yourself to me. You don't need to add one more unrealistic
Right.
expectation on your back.
That's really cool the way you think about that. You're only fittest mom in this category.
Right.
When so many moms are so fit in other categories and they don't think about that.
Yeah. And really, at the end of the day, your kid needs love. Like Blakelee doesn't care at all if I go to the CrossFit Games. I got third place and she's like, Mom, why didn't you win?
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, third place is great. And she just wants love. She just wants attention.
Yeah. How has having Blakelee changed you?
It's changed everything for the better. When I first got pregnant, I thought it was for the worst. As does, I don't want to say as does anybody, but I very much was not married, was not living how I believed I should live. And then after having Blakelee, God's just shown me like he's redeemed me. He loves me. His grace is sufficient. And it's made me less selfish because everything I did before was like, I want to go here. I want to go here. And now it's like, well, Blakelee needs a nap. We need to go home. And just thinking about someone other than myself.
When you say you weren't married, you have no reservations about saying that. You just have great humility about that. And
I've been redeemed and forgiven. I did have a lot of shame and guilt when it first happened, but like God's forgiven me and I've forgiven myself. And I want people to know like, it's okay.
Yeah.
But
you were forgiven before that even happened.
Exactly. But it took me a long time to
understand that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You weren't, your Heavenly Father didn't unfather you.
Right.
Yeah.
But in my head, I believed he did.
Shame.
Exactly.
Yeah. We still carry a lot of that around in the church world. We motivate people by their shame rather than by the fact that they're a royal priesthood and an adopted son and daughter.
And I think people have trouble talking about what I saw as a failure or what I did wrong. But the more you can talk about it and bring it to light, like Satan can't pull it against me. If I'm like, hey, I'll put it out there and I'm not afraid of it anymore.
Right. That's so cool. CrossFit Games are moving to Fort Worth for 2024.
They are.
So do you have to qualify again?
I do have to qualify again.
You have to qualify again.
Yes.
So it's not like you win this, you're in as a legacy.
No, that's the humbling part. It starts all over and everybody in the world tries to go back. I would like to think they take 40 women at the games.
Okay.
Last year I was third out of 40 women. I'd like to think I'd be able to go back, but it all is relative to health.
Yeah.
Is my body healthy? Is this healthy for my family? Because it's not just me
You
competing
seem to have
anymore.
that really balanced, though.
I'm very blessed with that. Thank you.
Have you had any setbacks with injuries or anything?
I did a little bit this year, actually.
Really?
Even though it was my best season yet. It was the first time I worked out a little too hard because I didn't rest, and then I tweaked my elbow.
Oh,
But it healed, and I was
it all
fine.
worked out.
Yeah, it all worked out.
What else did she tell me? You already talked about this. You didn't qualify for the games until you'd had Blakelee.
Right.
Got to regionals several times. And now you've just apparently crossed this 30-year-old threshold.
I did.
So when was your birthday?
It was 2 Saturdays ago.
All right.
And here's what's so cool. So I talk about backstage. I've gotten to know a lot of the other athletes we competed with, as well as the volunteers who help run this thing. I show up, Saturday was my birthday, and I was competing at a competition it was called Rogue in Austin. And the volunteers get me a donut cake and put candles in it and sing happy birthday to me.
Wow.
Isn't that huge?
That is.
So I started my birthday competing, turning 30, and people made me feel special by remembering me, showing up with something and singing happy birthday. It was really
You earned
cool.
that. You earned that. Forgive me for being ignorant about this. Do you have to compete at a certain weight or just class, or how do you do that?
You just do it.
You just do it.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I could compete against someone who's 180 pounds, but it's all relative.
Yeah.
She might deadlift more, but I might run a little faster.
Right. Okay. And how many events are in the games?
The games usually has 12 to 13 events.
12 to 13.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're between 4 days. So we might do 4 workouts a day, and each workout is 100 points.
Okay.
So a perfect score would be 1,200 points. So whoever has the most points at the end of the weekend, that's how you get your ranking.
What's your go-to fuel? How do you fuel yourself?
The games is really bad because at that point you're working out so much.
You're just trying to get it all in.
You just eat. Yeah, so I never tell people what I eat competition mode because I'm like, you don't need to copy me because it's not.
No, you're just trying to get the calories in.
So we're talking like burgers, fries,
Anything.
fruit snacks, chocolates, anything because when you're working out, lettuce does not sound good, nor is it dense enough to fuel me.
Yeah.
So I don't tell many people because then they'll be like,
I figured that was going to be your answer. When you're competing, you're just trying
you just
to
need calories.
Get it all in.
Yeah. So I'll tell that to people and they'll be like, yeah, I worked out. And so I went and ate a burger too.
And I'm
like,
you're like, no. Yeah, I have a friend who just competed in a bodybuilding competition.
Oh, how cool.
And she'd gone through this year-long metamorphosis, so to speak, and she was just so thankful the day after competition because she still had to stay, her and her husband both had to stay completely shredded through the end, and that's a whole different ballgame.
That is a whole different ballgame.
So dehydrated, and then you're just so dangerous sometimes.
And then the next meal is usually like everything in the world.
Oh, but you can't do it till after you're done.
That's right.
And so when you run, so in CrossFit, what's the longest you have to run?
It depends on the workout.
Yeah.
That's what's wild is when we show up to compete at the CrossFit Games, we don't know the workouts till maybe 2 or 3 days before.
Okay.
So, for example, the first workout we did was, I think it accumulated to a 6-mile bike ride. And then another workout, we had to run a 5K.
Yeah.
Year before, we had to run a 5K and then still carry stuff. So it really is, you train for everything.
Yeah. Yeah. How many hours a night do you sleep?
I try to go to bed about 12 and wake up at 8.
12?
I know.
Well, but you're sleeping till 8. I mean, that's your rhythm.
And my husband usually gets home from work about 7 or 8. So we have about 2 hours of family time. And then when
Blake's going to bed.
And then we have the next quality time. So our schedule is very opposite than most, but that's how we get our quiet time in the evening.
That's how you get your time together.
Right.
Yeah. Are you still doing the 48 minutes?
We have not done that this year.
Okay.
We did it the past 2 years. So the first year I did it in 2021 was Seek and You'll Be Fulfilled.
Right.
2022, when we did it, it was Stay Devoted. And I had like some setbacks in 2022, so it was just staying devoted. And then 2023, we did not do it, actually.
You should try. I did this with a couple of buddies of mine one time. I was reading where it said that Jesus stayed up all night in prayer. And then the disciples, he was like, why are you so weak? So I approached a couple of buddies of mine and I said, hey, pull an all-nighter with me.
Okay.
But we can't pull it on the weekend. We have to pull it in the middle of the week. And
a work week?
A work week.
Okay.
So I said, if we're really going to see if the health of our soul changes us physically, then we'll begin. And what we were going to do was begin at like 10 o'clock at night. And I said, we'll meet at this particular place. Bring whatever you want, your water, your juice, your food, whatever you want. And we'll start at 10 and we will finish at 6 in the morning. And then you have to go home, shower, and go to work.
Okay.
And you can't take a nap and you have to make it through the whole next day.
Wow.
And then you can't go to bed early. You got to go to bed at your usual time. And it was a crazy night. I mean, we'd go in 1.5-hour segments.
Okay.
And so we'd go an hour and a half, take a 15-minute break, talk to each other, go an hour and a half, 15-minute break, talk to each other. And sometimes we'd play some music. One of the guys could play guitar, and then we pulled an all-nighter. It was one of the most significant times. It was wild.
Do you have anything specifically it taught you?
I have them all written in journals.
Okay.
There were some.
How many times have you done it?
I've only done it once. Yeah.
But you have all of it?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I keep all these journals, with the months that I keep them on a shelf at the office.
Okay.
So that if my kids can find them someday, and because I'll do those 90-180s where I'll spend 90 days looking for a 180-degree change in direction on something.
Okay.
So
what's the biggest thing it taught you?
I'd have to go back and look.
Okay.
I think back then, though, it was just, okay, this was not we were going to publicize it, and post that, hey, we're staying up all night with Jesus. It was just, hey, let's stretch ourselves physically here. And, some people fast, and so that's part of it. But
it's a sleep fast.
It's a sleep fast.
Yeah.
And see what it is to say, okay, God, if I'm going to make it through this, then you're going to have to help me make it through this. And, you learn to pray with your eyes open, because you're going to fall asleep.
Right.
And that's the way it went. So, but anyways, when's the competition you're qualifying for? Let's change back to you.
Right now, the off season has officially started for me.
Off season.
Yes.
Okay.
So for me, that looks like not working out as crazy.
Right.
Not really stressing about anything. I don't have to peak or eat this or perform any type of way. It's just health.
So you're building a base again, or keeping the base strong.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you bulk up in the off season?
You're supposed to.
Yeah.
But the main thing for me is just health.
Stay in
Mental
shape, stay in
health,
good shape.
physical health.
Yep.
If I do that,
Yeah.
I'm good.
What is your when you see young girls and you see women, because now your audience is young girls, it's older women, what's your message to them? When they see Arielle, what should they be thinking? What should they leave and go, I appreciate her stepping into my life about that. There might be more than one.
Right. I know I often look to people for, like, I should look like that. They're doing great. I want my career to look like them, but I want them to know that they have their own specific, unique purpose, and it's important and it's powerful.
Yeah.
And find out what that is. Yeah. I thought it was this, I thought it was that, because that's kind of like the people I was following. But once I figured out, like, I'm just going to focus on my family, healthy unit, and then my CrossFit career exploded. Wow. Like, that's what mine looks like. I want girls to know, even if they're training to go to the CrossFit Games and they don't, you're not a failure. Yeah. Your purpose is just different, and it's still important.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Because I get so many messages like, I'm trying to go to the games. How do I do it? I'm trying to do this. And I'm like, that's great. It's a good goal to have. But that can't be your identity. You have to have something else that you're rooted in, because that root's going to get ripped out left and right if you're only focused on CrossFit and performance.
Your soul has to be healthy.
Yeah, exactly.
It has to be in a very healthy place.
Yeah, and I actually talked about that whenever I spoke at FCA, was just like, what are you rooted in? Yeah. Whatever you're rooted in, you're going to be watered in that too. So what are you watering it with? If it's CrossFit, your tree's going to fall over every single year when you don't make the games. So it's like, this is what you're supposed to be rooted in, according to Colossians. This is what you're supposed to be watering, and then that.
Well, and when you get that right, it just gives you the initiative to go, okay, wait a minute. Then I'm going to do everything I do with excellence.
Right.
You know, I had a coach one time. He said, okay, everybody get ready. We're going to do push-ups at the beginning of football season. So he said, all right, we're going to go push-ups to exhaustion. So we're like, you know, everybody's fighting to see who's going to win first place in push-ups. And then it's over. And then he gives us a small break and he pulls us back in. And I went to a private Christian school. And he said, this is going to be a little bit corny, but I want you guys to think about this. What if Jesus were sitting next to you while you're doing these push-ups? He said, now let's go do it again. And, you know, mentally you're a teenager. You're thinking, okay, I can get that. What would I do if he were the audience? And then he said, that's the way you live life. It's an audience of one who just wants to watch you and take joy in how you perform for him. And so, but your soul's got to be right in that regard. And so many people are looking for something else to make them happy rather than being pleased in the Lord and then being great at what he gives you the opportunity to do.
Exactly.
And so do you have a dream of where you want to go 10 years from now?
I've actually been thinking about that more and more, because I never thought I'd podium at the games. But next year is going to roll around and I might podium, somebody else might, and then my name will be forgotten. So it's like, what's next for me that I can make an impact in if it's not performance-based? So I don't know what that is yet.
Any ideas?
The past 2 years, I've spoken a lot. 2023, I've spoken more than I ever have in my life. So I'm very open to saying yes. So my I will for this year was, we didn't do 48 mops, but we did, and I did an I will for the year. Not a word like, but an I will. My I will was, I will say yes to every speaking opportunity that presents itself. Okay. So I've been on podcasts, people with the UK, like you name it, everywhere. I spoke at FCA. I've spoken to many of the FCA like huddles around Midland. So I'm really just open. It's scary because I will say yes to every speaking opportunity, and God says, okay, go speak to 5,000 people. Yeah. And I could have just been like, no.
Was speaking, did it come easy for you?
It's a muscle. Yeah. The first time I spoke, I was nervous. I was shaky. I looked at my notes the whole time. And then I spoke 20 more times and got more natural. 15 more times. And then it just flows out. So it will be scary at first and it will be uncomfortable. No doubt. But you have to work the muscle if you want it to grow. Yeah, people have asked me, so how do we get ready to speak? And I said, you rehearse. You do it. And they're like, what do you mean rehearse? I'm like, you rehearse. Yeah. And people are like, you rehearse? I said, all the time. All the time. I speak to my windshield all the time and just rehearse it and rehearse it. Because you don't want it to come out of your mouth the first time in front of people, because then it surprises you. Yep. You need to be able to adapt. And so it's just like training. You need to train it. Exactly. And then in competition, you can make an adjustment. Yep. And you can, when you're speaking, you can see what the field is doing. Do I need to adjust to this? I'm sure when you spoke to all these kids at FCA, there are times you look up and go, okay, they're not with me on this. Right. I need to pivot a little bit. I got to do something here because they're not with me. So all of it takes effort. It does. So I rehearsed to, my daughter has a Barbie house. So we set up all her Barbies looking at me. And that was my rehearsal. Perfect. And they listened perfect. They listened perfectly. They did. No, you can't overcome this. I rehearse literally verbally to the point where sometimes I'll verbally say, stop, that doesn't work. And then I'll
rewind, try it again to this imaginary audience.
Yep.
And I even from pastoring, I have certain people picked out that I knew were thinking certain things. And I'd be like, I wonder if I'm answering his question. I wonder if I'm answering his question. Well,
the notorious thing always whenever I'd go to Stonegate was, you guys aren't listening fast enough. We're getting behind. Like, how did he know?
This is true. This is true. This is true. What an honor. Is there anything else that's on your mind that you wish I would have brought up?
Oh, man. I feel like there's so much I could learn from you.
Doubt it.
So you were very much at Stonegate involved.
Yeah.
I'm very much, if I'm going to relate our two careers, very different, but I'm very much involved in the CrossFit space.
Right.
When did you know the Lord wants me to step back and do something else?
2013.
Was it a feeling, a prayer?
It was all prayer. It was all those journals. Mm-hmm. It was a 90-180 journal. And, I didn't leave till 2018. Mm-hmm. But it was 2013. I made a note that said, it's time to be thinking about exit.
And it took you 5 years?
5 years.
Right.
Because I knew I'd made a commitment from growing up in church that said most pastors stay longer than they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Because especially if you have a church the size of Stonegate, that all of a sudden you're making a living and it's popular and you're making, and it's, you're the talk of the region. At that time we were the largest church between Fort Worth and Phoenix. And so
wow,
you realize I need to leave before they tell me to or want me to. Mm. And so if you leave at the top of the game, then that'll show that it's a bigger thing than you.
Exactly.
And so 2013 is when I knew. And then 2018, spring and summer of 2018, my wife and I said, it's time to go. And a lot of people, said, oh, you're going somewhere else. We're like, no, this is home. So we raised our kids, but it's just time for us to bolt. Mm. And
was that scary?
Oh, it's terrifying. Yeah. But if you were there and you'd probably already left and gone to school, that's when I started asking the other guys to preach more regularly.
Yes, I was there.
And I'm on the stage. There was 13 times out of the year I'm not on the stage, and that was very intentional.
Right.
So we just knew, and to say it was scary, that's not true.
No.
It was, if you know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And you make the right move, you're like, all right, good to go. Mm-hmm. And I always knew, Cindy, my precious wife, an amazing wife, has always been, since the day we married, I don't care if we live in a tent or on the road, let's just do what we know the right thing is to do. Mm. And so, it's the same thing when I ran for mayor. I gave her a sheet of paper one night and said, here's 7 reasons why I don't think I should run for mayor. I wrote them out. And this is exactly how it went down. She went, you're supposed to. Game on. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was that.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, this has been cool, man. I'm so thankful for Ryan in his studio.
Yes.
I know you've been in here before. So
not this one. I've been a different one.
You're the other one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you,
though.
though.
Really cool. This is really cool. How can people in the audience who want to know how they can pray for you?
Yeah.
How can they pray for you?
I always love, as it gets closer to competition, pray that I stay healthy. Mm-hmm. But the big thing is that, no neutral moments.
Yeah.
So much happened this past year backstage where lives were changed that I know firsthand how God was moving. Pray that I stay open to see those because that's way more powerful than third place at the CrossFit Games.
And that's a hard prayer to be aware of because usually when the moment arrives is the moment that's not actually convenient for you.
Exactly. Yeah. The most powerful thing that happened at the games, I was supposed to be somewhere else, but I canceled it because we were in conversation. And I was like, I'm sorry. This is more important. Yeah. But and it takes me, so I train 360 whatever days a year. I have 4 days of competing. Yeah. So it also is hard to say I train so hard. I need to focus on myself. But those are the most powerful places.
Wow. Yeah. Because you never know what's Hebrews. Hebrews says, be hospitable to all because you never know you might be dealing with an angel.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
So
just always keeping my eyes open.
And every person is, regardless of their belief system, is created in the image of God and deserves that worthiness from us. So to stop and have the conversation and to stop and say what's up and realize it's probably not going to be on your timing and on your calendar.
It won't be.
Yeah.
I feel like it never is, right?
Like you're exactly right.
Right.
But he'll honor that.
He will.
He'll absolutely honor that. So
I'm going to tell one story from the games, if that's all right.
Do.
Okay. We were flying out Sunday night, had to be there Monday. Our flight gets canceled. We end up having to stay the night in the airport in Dallas. Worst thing that can happen, right?
Absolutely.
We meet a lady from Australia on our connecting flight supposed to go to Wisconsin and connect with her. She has terminal cancer.
Oh.
And she shares that with us at 1 a.m. in the morning. We were able to just love on her, pray for her, and disciple her.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like the Lord wanted me to give her a message that you're a light who's loved and seen by God. And she actually got that tattooed on herself.
Did she really?
And she lives in Australia.
Wow.
And I'm like, here it is. If we would have just been like,
if you'd have been on your plan.
yeah.
Exactly.
And then like, this situation sucks. I'm supposed to compete. But we're like, no, we're all in this together. Let's just talk to this lady
Yeah.
who looks a little lost, looks a little scared. She clearly is from Australia. She has an accent.
Yeah.
And just, she changed our life. We got to change hers.
Wow. Do you think you have a prophetic gift?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because you've already in this conversation given 3 or 4 or sentences of phrases of words that you were like, this has been spoken to me. I spoke this to someone else. You never thought about that?
I've never thought about that.
Because you look in Ephesians where it says, there's apostles, prophets, evangelists, pastors, teachers, shepherds, and teachers. Many times in upbringings like we've shared similarly in the evangelical world, we minimize this idea of the apostle or the prophet because we think it's this, showmanship thing rather than the prophet who has come to give a message to people. So I wonder if you have a prophetic spirit. I think you do.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never thought about that.
That may be something you can use someday. So
absolutely.
It's been awesome. It's
Thanks
great
for
to see
having
you.
me,
I mean, just
Patrick.
think back to just good grief, this gymnast and cheerleader who was in our living room, and now here we are.
It's
and
awesome.
You're world famous.
I know, and I still have the Bible that you gave us
Do you
that year.
really?
Yeah, it's my favorite because everybody highlighted their favorite.
They did.
Yeah, so it's just good reminders to flip through.
That's awesome. That was a great time to spend with seniors, and
It was. That was the last one, 2013. You said I'm done.
well, you weren't the last senior group.
True, very true.
You were. So I think you went to school with my oldest, and that was right around the time we started. It was 2010 because we'd gone to camp, and only 3 seniors came to camp. And my wife and I said, nope. The reason we started is we said maybe seniors will come to our house because I'm the head dude.
Yeah.
And that's literally
And
why we did
what
it.
happened?
And it worked.
That's why I went. My dad was like, you have to go, Patrick's house.
Mark?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, tell him hello for me.
I will.
It'll
Thank
be
you.
Great. Well, the Lord bless you. And thanks again for being on this podcast. And
Thanks
I look
for
forward
having
to
me.
seeing what's going to happen. And look forward to, along with Ryan and myself, when you come back victorious after 2024 games. So what's the date of the games?
It's in August, end of August.
End of August.
In Fort Worth.
And the off season is going to last how long?
I will start getting crazy again, probably March.
Okay. Then you'll be ramping it back up.
Exactly.
Well, best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks
you as
again,
well.
Arielle. Been great.
Thanks.